It's like t-shirts are out and jumpers are back in. It's another chilly morning. But I'm still planting something today. And because it's now mid-October, it's around about that time that I start off garlic. But I do it in containers. You can do it outside, in ground if you want. But I prefer to do it in containers because we don't grow a lot of garlic. We only want a few nice bulbs. And I'm also using recycled compost. This container's had quite a few different plants in it over its season. And to save costs, I just tend to mix that compost back up, loosen it off, make sure there's no roots in there, and then we add feed. And then that compost is amended and we can use it again. And somebody did ask on the channel quite recently, how many times can you reuse the same compost? And the answer to that question is as many times as you want, as long as you amend the compost with organic matter or fertilisers. So there's no real set rule as to how many times you can use it. And I'll use it as many times as I can. But I've always got fish blood and bone meal and grow more available just to top it up with a bit of feed. And that's what we're going to be putting as garlic in today. Not a bad sized container, but it doesn't need to be huge. And I'm also going to grow it in this greenhouse as well. But as I did mention, you can just grow it outside. I've noticed that we've got quite a few weeds popping up in its containers, because at this time of year, that's what grows more than anything. So while we're in here doing one job, we can just do a little bit of weeding on its containers as well and keep them nice and clean. Now when it comes to growing garlic, you've got a couple of choices. You can use an hard neck garlic or a soft neck. And the only difference being is that the hard neck is a lot hardier than the soft neck. So it's more suited to colder parts of the UK. But I've done soft neck garlic in a container, in a greenhouse and outside in raised beds, and they still worked alright. So that choice is up to you. And there is also a bit of speculation behind whether to use supermarket bought garlic or buy garlic bulbs from a garden centre. The only reason people say that is because they say if you use cloves of garlic from a supermarket, they're more prone to getting disease. But I've always done that over the last few years, and we have got garlic grown and I've not had any problems with them either. So that comes down to personal preference. If you want to order something specific, then you're better off going to a garden centre. But if you just want to have a go at growing garlic, then just go to the supermarket and get a nice big bulb and try and get some really good sized cloves off it. Which is what I'm doing today, and you can see that we've started moving everything back into this greenhouse as well that we left outside all last week, because it is definitely getting colder. So we're just trying to help these plants along as much as we can. So I popped at the supermarket and I bought a couple. I tried to get some decent sized ones, and it looks like that one's probably got a few good sized cloves in it. So bigger the clove the better. So what we'll do is we'll break both of these apart, pick out all the biggest ones, and the rest we'll put back in the fridge and we'll use that on this cooking channel. But usually when you buy these bulbs of garlic from your supermarket, you can get them for about 40 pence each. So it's worth 40 pence just to have a go at growing it like this. So first job, split these up, find the biggest cloves. So we'll take a look at these a bit closer up. We just need to get rid of that paper covering and split these off, and hopefully we can get some quite big cloves. Something like that would be really good. We'll use that one for a start. And another. That's a pretty good size too. So we have ended up with some quite decent ones so far. There's just a few smaller ones in there which will be perfect for cooking. So we'll sort out these that we've got and as you can see, all nice size ones. So now we'll finish preparing this container. So as you saw, we churned all this compost up to make it nice and loose. You need good drainage, or there's a chance that you could rot these little cloves before they get going. And you could also add some grit to this if you wanted to help with that. And to that, we're adding fish blood and bone, just a thin covering over top. And then I'm mixing that in. You're aerating compost at the same time when you do this. And I'm just going to level that compost off. Of course, you don't have to do this if you don't want. But I'm just making a level bed. I'm not compacting this down. But I've got a couple of different things I actually want to do with this container. So what I'm going to do is pop one just there. Give it space from that edge and that edge. And then go quite a few inches apart as well. So at the moment, I'm just kind of making a marker. And that next part of it, if you've never grown garlic before, you've got to make sure you plant it the right way. If you look there, one part of it is flat on bottom. That's where your roots are going to come from. And at the other end, you've got this little pointy bit. And that's where the plant's going to grow from. So they need planting that side down. And what you want to do with them is push them into your compost. And unlike growing onion sets where you'd push them in like that and leave the top sticking out, with garlic you don't do that. You need to make sure that top is buried about an inch below level of this compost. So pushing it down, and you can see that that is a good inch below. But we're not covering it up yet. We're going to do the same thing again. Pointy side up. Push it down around an inch. Really easy job to do. And that's all those garlic set up, apart from being covered. And the reason I haven't covered them yet is because this garlic is going to take quite a long time to grow. So to utilise this space as best we can, I'm going to plant something else in between, like there, that's going to mature quicker. So we can get an harvest while we're waiting for the garlic to be ready. So basically you want to be planting something that's fast growing. So radish, lettuce, spinach, etc. Things like that. I've got a container and I'm growing lamb's lettuce in it. So I can take a clump of that out, split it off into individual plants and then plant them in here. And it's quick and easy to do. You've already got your established seedling. So it's a case of just dropping it in that hole, pinching it all together to make it nice and compact. And we've already got a plant on way. That's the reason we've grown in these wash bowls, all multi-sown, so that when we want to, we could split off and take individual plants. But if you haven't got any plants already growing, you could just sow seeds in there, knowing that they're going to mature way before that garlic's ready. So I'm just trying to separate off a couple of plants here. They have been grown quite close together. But there, we've got a nice little clump again. And plenty of root on bottom. So that can be dropped straight in. Firm it down. And that's another one on way. And we know that we're not planting them on top of the garlic. That's another one that I've taken out. Straight in. Bunch that all together. And we've got room for one more. And that's that container all set up now. And we've still got loads of plants left in here. But now we've took some out, these, I've got more room to grow on, so we can do that again at a later date. So now that's all done, all we need to do is cover up that garlic. And it's as easy as that. So that's another container for autumn and winter already set up. And we've done it in a way where we can get an harvest while we're waiting. So always put short season crops alongside long season crops. That way you can double up on your produce. When you plant these cloves, put them 4 to 5 inches apart. And ideally you want something like 30 centimetres between each row. But because I'm doing them in a container, I'm planting them just a little bit close together. And there's no rush to plant yourself some garlic if you want to try some out this autumn winter, because you can plant it any time between now and December, and then you can plant some more in spring. But in order to bulb up properly, garlic does need a period of cold, so that's why autumn winter is the best time to do it. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, if you don't want to do it in containers, you can just plant it directly outside in your raised beds. But when it gets really cold, just offer it a little protection just until it gets established. Even though garlic is very cold hardy, it don't hurt to offer anything a little bit of help along the way, and especially when it's first starting to grow. And they do prefer well-drained soil. But if yours is a bit clear, you'll be better off planting your cloves into little pots like this to start with, and then transfer it to your raised beds later. Because if your soil holds quite a lot of water, there's a chance that that clove could start to rot before you've actually got anything growing. And I think you've pretty much got all the info that you need, because garlic will look after itself. It's just those few steps to start off with. Nice loose compost, a well-drained container or raised bed, 4 to 5 inches between cloves, 30 centimetres between rows, so any time between now and December. Make sure it's in a sunny spot for what bit of sun we will get. And if you've got any problems with clay soil, start them off in little pots first and then transfer them to your garden. And by spring next year, you're going to have nice developed bulbs of garlic to start you off at new season. And wherever possible, interplant a fast growing crop so you're still getting something while you're waiting for the long term ones. So if you've never grown garlic before, give it a go. It's something that you can quite easily do through colder months of year while there's not much or anything else happening. And if you don't want to go out and buy them from garden centres, try some supermarket bought ones. And just one other thing, if at any point during this season you had a problem with white rot on onions or leeks, then don't plant these in that compost, because that disease is in the compost, it's not in the air. They're not spores that spread, it spreads throughout the compost. So if you've had onion white rot in any area of your garden, make sure you're not planting things like this in that same place. But if you want to border on caution, just pop them in containers like we do, and then they're more easy to maintain through colder parts of the year. So thank you very much for being part of the channel, I really appreciate it. And if you're interested in seeing what I'm going to be sowing tomorrow, hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and I'll see you then.